We're Arts and Adventure Summits, the airwaves. This is the Ogden Arts and Adventure Show. I'm R. Brandon Long, along with Todd Oberndorfer. We are your hosts for the greatest podcast in all the land. With us this week, our Arts and Adventure. Oh, welcome to 2022, everyone, by the way.
So, or 23.
2023.
That's what I meant. 2022, 3.
That's a really good start, buddy.
Thank you. It only goes uphill from here. Okay, so we have Tara and Leon. Now, Tara Warren is the easy part. Okay, and we're going to get to you in just a minute because Leon is the hard part. Leon, I butchered his name during the Mayor's Awards. I'm like, Leon, teach me how to say your last name so I don't screw it up during the Mayor's Awards. And he teaches me, and I'm like, I can't get it. I can't get it in like 5 seconds. So
well, we have Leon here, so let's just all say it together. Or you say it, and we'll all say it with you.
Okay, yeah, Leon, you go first.
Okay, Araujo.
Oh, Jesus.
Araujo.
Araujo.
Araujo. Araujo.
Yeah, Araujo.
You got it?
I missed the double B because I just said Araujo, and that is not it. It's Araujo.
I'm sure he won't walk out.
Araujo.
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 Yeah, and we'll say my last name next.
Okay.
And then yours.
Yeah, Oberndorfer.
Yeah. Hey, see, years have passed. You've gotten pretty good at it.
Oberndorfer.
Open the door for.
Oh, yes. I've heard that too. Yes, thank you. It's the polite version of the last name. Oberndorfer. Oberndorfer.
Oberndorfer.
Open the door for.
Yeah,
Oberndorfer. That's pretty good. Okay. Leon you may know him as Noise Explosion, visual artist. You have a show coming up here soon. And then we have Tara, Ultrarunner, and also chatting about Rufa running up for air, which is in February. So let's go there first, shall we, Tara?
Yeah.
So now here's a question that I want to ask you because I don't know, and I kind of feel dumb asking.
No, that's kind of what we do, though. We ask questions that we don't already know.
Yeah, because I don't, right. But
you're in a safe place.
But I'm wondering if I should know. Like, Tara, do you work or are you like full-time trail runner?
Oh, well, I run a lot, so that takes up time fully.
Yeah.
But I coach. I have a coaching gig where I have great clients and train them for different races.
Because I know that on your Instagram there's you have affiliations, and I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if you make any real money at that, or maybe that's how you make a living. That's the question.
No, I don't. I'm not a pro.
Okay.
I'm not a pro. Okay. I work with a lot of companies who graciously provide me money or goods depending on how I'm doing race wise and
shoes
such. So yeah, sometimes.
So, we got to get you some regular shoes.
I'm not a pro.
Is that something you want to do, or is that just you just love running and that's just sort of a bonus?
I just love running.
Yeah,
I just do. I mean, I'm just kind of a geek about it. So.
And your husband's a runner.
Yes.
And so did you run together? Did you start? Did he start? How'd that go?
Well, it's funny. It's a little story.
Yeah.
So we both have always been fit and exercised and done that kind of thing. And I guess fit has air quotes, depending on where you are in your stage of life. But it wasn't until I had my first kid about 14 years ago where he's the kind of guy who'll go to like the grocery store and read the magazines there. Right.
Okay,
Right.
My kind of kid. Yeah, that's great.
And so it was taking forever to come home, and my baby was real colicky, and it was just kind of tough, and I didn't know where he was, and he came home with this magazine, and he was like enthralled, and he was already into like Lotaja and those kind of events. So he's kind of like an endurance athlete. He's like, there's people that run these races all night, and they eat, and they don't even sleep or go to the bathroom. Just the typical.
How long ago was this? Was this like late 90s or
about 14 years ago?
Okay, because I think like adventure ultra racing was sort of the first time I'd heard of any endurance sport that went overnight or something. That was like a long, and it was human based, in other words, not like a race car race that goes overnight or something like that, but humans that participate in a sport that goes multiple nights in a row.
Yeah, and not a relay.
Not a relay.
Like this.
Right.
Yeah, so that's just kind of how it started, and I could see that look in his eyes, and I was like, oh no, I've lost him. And I lost him. And then it took a while for me to get
So he
going.
started doing the long distances.
He dabbled in a lot of the local 50s, like a lot of Skags races out Antelope Island, and
That would be Jim Skaggs
Jim
out of
Skaggs.
Antelope Island.
Shout out to
Buffalo
Jim.
100 and stuff. Yeah.
So yeah, just a lot of those, and got involved with the Hummer Group with Manning and those guys, and so we just kind of went from there. And I jumped in after I had my second kid. I was just nervous. I think one of the things about trail running for women, well, they get scared of being taken, being eaten by something, or getting lost. And through the years,
Sometimes being taken and being eaten is by the same person.
it could be, or animal.
Yeah.
Yeah, both. So that's what I've run into just through the years when I've been out and about talking to other groups and learning what makes it work for trail running for women and addressing those things. And once you kind of get a pattern established and get out there and just feel comfortable in your surroundings, things start to work out a little
What
bit.
are some of the hacks that you use to get comfortable? Do you take a dog? Do you have weaponry? Like, what do you?
I know
What do you do?
Yeah, for some, that's both. For me, it was just picking a simple route and doing that route every time and learning where the holes were, or where like the deer might run past you, or you know, what makes it work. Like, what are the locals that go out there and walk their dogs that day? Are they scary? Are they nice? Or, you know, you just kind of learn, especially in our little neighborhood, you kind of learn how that works. And it started to be less scary. And for me, it was just running down Birdsong. You guys know that part. I would run from my house on the road down Birdsong, which is barely a mile on a trail. And I was like, sweet, I'm a trail runner. And, you know, I was feeling, I'd see the sunrise, and you know, I'm like, yeah, this is awesome. And then, you know, I probably did that route, gosh, like a year and a half.
And
like
that's not
every
super
day.
woodsy either.
Oh, no, it's not. It's not at all. But it's dirt.
Yeah.
And so then I started feeling a little better about that. And I knew that I wanted to go to other places that I could see from where I was. And in order to do that, I have to be more fit, or have different gear, or find more friends that would go with me. And it just kind of evolved from that point. And yeah, so go anywhere you want these days.
So your
safely.
first long run was
Oh gosh,
a couple miles, or like, how did you start?
Sure. Well, I've been running since high school, just casually. Like, I've never done a marathon. I've done a couple half marathons just for kicks, but never really been that serious about it. I just kind of ran just to, you know, like just to, if I'm bored or just want to, you know, just be active. I have a lot of energy and just kind of burn off energy through the day. You know, before I was married, I had a job where I traveled all the time. And so I would, you know, run on the treadmill for 30 minutes and call that good. And so just kind of always done some running, but never really expanded into the things I'm kind of doing now.
Yeah, you're doing a lot.
Yeah.
And big stuff too. So what UTMB? So I don't know how many people. I mean, how many people from Ogden, or how many people that you know actually go do that? What is it, first of all, and then explain, like, it's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, it's a pretty big deal. It's in Chamonix in France, and it's basically the World Series of ultra running from around the world. And there's 7 different races that make up this week-long festival of races. And there's everything from like a community-based race, which a lot of locals get into. There's an adventure stage race that goes the whole week. There's a 100K, a 50K, a 100-miler. Then the one I did last year was kind of a random, it's like 93 miles. But they all are around or on the Trail de Mont Blanc, which is a famous trail. Imagine, like, it's not like a shoreline, but it's like an established trail.
We'll pretend
people-
it's cool as a shoreline.
like Ogden shoreline.
Yeah.
But it's an established trail that people go to, and they can even stay at different places along the way and make it like as long as they want to adventure, or they can have a race. And to get into this race, you have to, well, that's all changed now, but when I got into it, you have to finish certain races that give you qualifying points that allow you to then enter a lottery. You get into the lottery, and then you accept, and then you get to do this race.
Wow.
And so, yeah, all that's changed now, and it's a lot of complications.
So are you going back? Are you
no.
grandfathered into this something?
I
you wanna
wish.
do?
I wish.
Okay.
No, so they've changed the format, like I said, and so it's a little bit trickier in North America to qualify, to do qualifying races. But yeah, I am possibly doing one of those races this year, which I don't know if I want to go into right now or not, but
No, but
yeah, I'm excited to maybe go back and do that UTMB race.
Leon, I know this is a familiar story to you with your experience of running in France.
I know.
Oh, I relate so much.
It's like a same old story, same old story.
Tara's doing great because you're so humble, and I know like you when you started, you've been doing Instagram for a while, doing Instagram like it's a job or something, but posting to it on your runs. But I think you just were very consistent over a long period of time, but never really got super flashy or never really did like trendy stuff. But it was sort of the same shots over, and the consistency over time has sort of won for you. What are your thoughts on Instagram?
Oh man, is this where we edit? Or
Is it? Oh, you're real. No, I have a love. I think probably a lot of people have a love-hate with it.
It's
you
true.
know?
And this is a universal question that we'll talk to Leon about in just a second. Yeah.
This will tie us in for sure. Like, I mean, it's changed so much over the years, and we've seen all the trends and all the things. Like, it's been around long enough that I have a teenager now on it, so it's like, whoa. But yeah, like I started it originally long ago. My mom was sick, just to show her where I was running, because people were tired of seeing it on our like family account. So it was more, like that sort of thing. And just it was exciting. And, brands were excited to see people using their gear. And so you'd post something and, Backcountry would repost you, and wow, you'd get 2,000 followers in a day, and long gone are the days of that type of thing. And that was kind of fun and the wild west of Instagram. But I mean, I really enjoy running, and that's kind of the bottom line. And I really just run and enjoy taking pictures of when I'm out.
I think
and that's kind of my shtick. And it appeals to some people, and to some people it doesn't, or they think it's not real, but it's
for sure
it's really just kind of is mundane, but that's
right. But I can tell, and I think people can tell. They can see through. In other words, I mean, I actually can't think of specific accounts, but there's accounts out there who will post running photos, and you're like, this person never run. Like, they hardly ever run. Like, come on, you know what I mean? And so, but I think your account is just boring enough that it is just you running all the time.
Or my dog.
Dog, monotonous. And the dog, and we're throwing it, gets a little exciting there. So, but that we can tell, like, this girl really loves to run. My gosh, like that's what you.
Well, plus it's the consistency that's inspiring too, because people can, maybe they didn't get out that day, but you were able to get out that day, and so it inspires them to try to do the same the next day or whenever that is. And I think it comes down to anything on a regular basis is more inspiring than releasing something once a month, twice a week. As often as you're able to do it when you go out. I think it's very inspiring.
Oh.
And that's so funny that you mentioned that you really started for your mom, because I think everyone knows I'm not really big into any of the social medias. I'm so glad that Brandon is. And so I provide the graphics for the social things. Yeah. But I think I did the most consistent when I went through quite a long spell where I was traveling a lot, and it was essentially so that my mom could follow where I was, right? And so enough so that she would know where sort of live stream cameras were. And so I was doing a lot of traveling, kind of around the world too. And so that was her way of keeping in touch with me. And so I know that it's inspiring to kind of see people that doing kind of cool things. And so there's that little... that's the other side of it, but mostly it was so my mom could sort of follow these places that I was. And then when I got back home, I just stopped doing that. She probably wishes I would more again now. Yeah.
Moms love it.
Moms love it.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Of course.
What's your experience on social, particularly Instagram, Liam?
So
what are your thoughts?
I enjoy posting on Instagram. I enjoy the connection with people, because I feel like I communicate with a lot of people, and there's a lot of times where I've met or I know somebody from their username. And then I see them and I'm like, hey, you're so-and-so. And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, what's your name though? Because I don't really.
But username that's a big part of it as well. I'm easy. I'm just Todd Oberndorfer, so I'm pretty easy to follow. But I do know a lot of people that are simply known by, in your case, it's noise explosion, right?
Yeah,
right.
noise_explosion.
Very different than your name. So let's go back to the importance for you of choosing that name.
Or
When did that come about? Yeah. When did that become
was-
synonymous
so-
to Leon?
It started, I think it was with like Need for Speed, like the video game. I created an
Did you say
account on the
Need for Speed?
Yeah. So I created an account there and I was like, that's a cool car name. I was like, I'll do that. And it just kind of like transitioned on from there to Instagram, and then I put it on my Facebook, and it was just like something that I never thought it would be.
Are you a
anything.
Fast and Furious fan?
No. I am not.
Well, my family's rewatching them again. Started last night. The whole
thing?
from the first. Yeah,
First
your,
and
your
two,
wife
the
is like the biggest geek I've ever known.
I know.
I absolutely love it. And she, I don't necessarily see her participating in that culture, so it's really, really fun to see that anyway. And so has Noise Explosion become part of, the culture of who you are as an artist as well? Do you use that name for your art?
I do now. At some point, it kind of became like people would talk to me and they're like, "Hey, you're Noise Explosion." I'm like, "Yeah, I am." And I kind of like that they didn't know my name at times, so it's like I'll just go by that. I started kind of tying into it. It was like, how can I show or utilize this username that I created back in high school when I had no idea it was going to become a thing. So noise, I kind of take it as like, all right, I like advertising a lot. Let's make some noise. Let's create a buzz over it or whatever. And that's kind of like what the explosion would be now to me, I guess, is let's just create hype for something and like do a thing. And that right now is me. I am just kind of doing my art and
noisy. Well, that's what I think of with you. It's noisy for sure.
I'm definitely very noisy.
Yeah.
I'm actually kind of quiet, but
not when it comes to your work, though.
Well, hopefully.
That's how I see
Hopefully
it.
that speaks on its own. So.
Well, I think now's probably a good time. We'll kind of bounce back and forth between the two of you to get to know you just a little bit. Visual artist, graphic designer. What's your elevator pitch? What's your spiel? And I'm sure it grows as an artist as well.
I keep adding
But you
on.
still have to hone that elevator pitch though.
So I essentially, the way that I describe myself would be just a visual artist that specializes in digital media, photography, and now I want to say murals, because that's just what I want to go into
should.
more.
You've done how many? 6?
5.
5? Okay.
Yeah. So I started last March, I think it was.
You've done 5 in a year?
Mm-hmm.
Seems like a good year.
I think you can call yourself a muralist if you do 5 in a year.
I want to do more.
Yeah. So let's talk about your first mural. When did that come about? How did that come about? I think that sort of approaching that first opportunity is everything when it comes to somebody that might be interested in doing a mural, taking their work to that possible next level. Because I know plenty of visual artists that I think would be great muralists, right? But it's A, not for everybody, and B, they just haven't had the opportunity or haven't made the opportunity to find a nice public wall, right?
Yeah.
Or location. So let's hear about your very first wall.
So the very first wall was for Soul City Coffee. It was over on Washington Boulevard between 35th and 36th.
Now, did they know?
They didn't know that I did any murals or anything like that. I just saw that we're opening, and at some point, I was like, "Hey, I can do a mural here," and they were like, "That would be very helpful." And I was like, "Yeah."
Wait, no, back up. Did you approach? You went and talked to them? Did you know them?
Yeah, I did know them. So
Relationships help, so
Yeah,
obviously
yeah,
that's a
yeah.
good first step.
yeah, so that was I did know them, which is Gordon Greenwood. He plays around. He plays music and he's a great artist as well. So I did know them, and I approached him. I was like, "Hey, I would like to do a mural here if that's something that you're wanting to." And he was like, "Yeah, that would be great. That would be very helpful. We can't pay you." I was like, "No, you know what?
Exposure.
I was like, "That's totally fair."
And then you
This is
had
your
him
first
play
one,
for
though.
free at your birthday party, so that's perfect. Yeah.
Well, I'll still I'll cash in eventually, I guess. No, I'm pretty thankful, because I like to think of those opportunities at times of like, how else am I going to show somebody that I can't do a mural?
Is that Todd? Is
Like-
that like artists? Is that like interning? We were talking about you have to intern to be a tattoo artist. But if you got to get a job first. You have to show your work first. So if it's free, it's free. Is that like how you do it in the art world? Like how does this
It's
work?
all relative, and hopefully, definitely my experience working with students in the university and obviously working with internships there. The default for internship opportunities are not free anymore. So sorry, people out there who want free interns. Like that's not the go-to anymore. Like there are expectations that you are going to do more than just like allow them to get 3 credits for working for you for however many months, right? And so I do think and hope and cross my fingers that we've turned that corner in the road. I don't know if it's true everywhere. I think when it comes to initial opportunities for anybody, that is truly a personal thing. I think that, that one free opportunity, I wouldn't pay for any of my like paint, supplies, things like that. I would have them pay for all of that.
Yeah, which is kind of like the main thing.
That's a big chunk.
I was like,
that's
I'm
a
not paying
huge
for
chunk
that.
of that, right?
Yeah.
And so it's knowing the whole story. It's obviously that he's starting a new business, and so you're sort of partnering when it comes to that to some degree. And so I think that I've done my share of free work. There's no question about it, right? I don't wish that on anybody because I think every artist is worth, just period. And so I think it's more of a personal thing. I would hope as your portfolio starts to build up, as the relationship starts to build up, sometimes that very first one he took a chance on you.
Definitely did, because he didn't ask for any of my work.
Okay, that was going to be my next question. What sort of pitch that you had to make for him? And I'm sure at this point, you've gotten after 4 or 5 of these that you probably draw up a nice little sketch, you present some options, that type of thing. The fact that you had free raid in a brand new space, wow. See, I would maybe take that into account as well. It's just like, maybe I'm not getting paid for this per se, but what an incredible opportunity.
Yeah, so I like the wall. I was like,
I like the wall.
I want to.
No, that means a lot.
I don't wash it.
Yeah, no, it's great exposure. Yeah.
So I said I'll paint something. I was like, what do you like? He's like, well, the whole thing is kind of like music. So I was like, all right, I'll paint something with like a guitar. And so I drew it up. And I like to draw skeletons a lot. I do a lot of skulls and things like that. And so I drew the whole wall. I took a picture, did it digitally. And he liked it, but he was like, you know what? Instead of a guitar, can you put a microphone? I was like, yeah, sure. And he's like, and can you add Soul City to it? I was like, yeah, I totally can do that. Turns out the city doesn't allow that. You can't have advertising in a mural.
But because does he not own the lot, or how does that work?
No, I just think it's because for it to be considered a mural, it can't be advertising. So by having the name of a business on the actual mural, then that doesn't.
Mirrors are complicated, even in the private spaces. It's one of those things.
What if you? Oh, I don't know. I doubt he owns the lot. But if you own the lot,
if it's your own personal space, probably a separate path.
Yeah, because that's like your sign. Like I'm going to make a sign. It's a mural. Oh, lost my camera.
Or
it's
the
a
building.
Mural. Yeah,
If you own the building.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Maybe just to be added onto the mural database. That's my guess.
I'll tell you what. That still shows you, even as a muralist, all those steps that are involved. You're like, well, I love to draw and I love to paint, and you're like, well, that's just a start of it. You also have to be able to do this, and particularly the more that you do it, there's more that business side of how to do it, right? And so knowing what you can legally do with the city, if you want to involve the city's opinion on that, right? We all happen to be part of Ogden Arts Advisory Committee, right? And so that's, as a committee, particularly one of our subcommittees called Public Art, that's what we do, right? And so we'd love to give advice on that. We'd love to, be a second set of eyes, if we need to. I do know that that's not a required thing for a lot of these murals.
No, but if you're listening to this podcast and you're an artist and you're starting and you don't know how to get it out there, like your work out there, Ogden City Arts is a good resource to start, because you just got to figure out, you got to learn what you don't know. If you don't know what you don't know, like Leon, how do you learn things? Like how do you learn about, say, grants and stuff?
Just by listening, honestly.
To our podcast.
Well, yeah.
For instance.
Yeah, no, but really, it's just kind of meeting other artists and learning from them. I think a lot of times I feel like not a lot of people are willing to listen. You know, they go and like talk and they're like, I know more, or, you know, like, so I like to think that I'm one of those people that just listen and take in the 2 cents. And
Tara, how much advice do you give out to people and they don't listen?
Well, I've stopped doing that.
As a coach, my first rule is not to give advice for anything for any reason.
You get to a point where you're just like, you know, it's hard because people need to figure things out for themselves.
Yeah.
Whatever it might be,
Yeah.
running, art, you know, whatever. Like, not learning to drive, you need to get advice for that. But you know, like, that's how you become a more well-rounded person, is kind of messing up.
People
and
want the
figuring
shortcuts,
it
though,
out.
right?
Yeah, you always want the shortcuts. That's just kind of how it works. And sometimes you give them, and you learn who listens and who doesn't. And
I think that's it exactly. And I think that especially now that you're involved with Ogden City Arts a little bit more so, that just opens up more opportunities for you, right? And it also, I think the very first committee that I ever joined was so I can learn more about. It was a 9 Rails steering committee, I think, right? When the 9 Rails Creative District was being talked about, and they weren't getting much coverage, and people weren't talking about it because it was in those early discussions. And what's the best way to learn is to just be part of those discussions, right? And so obviously I'm extremely excited to see another visual artist on the committee. So congrats on that slot. But I'm sure as an artist, you could still find that balance between walking the road the way you want to do it, but then also, you know, using the experience of other artists, other art leaders and arts organizations that can, I mean, there's so many of us that are there to support artists, right? But we can't visit every artist's house as much as we'd like to, right? And so a little bit of that has to come from the other side. They have to kind of reach out a little bit more so. And so the more involved you've got with arts organizations and you've become more of an arts leader, has it helped your practice?
Absolutely. Because there's a lot of times that I meet somebody that's really, really good at digital art. And I'm like, so what are some things that you do here? Because, like, I'm trying the same thing and I can't get that result. So they oftentimes are like, oh, well, don't do that. Just do this. And then it works. And then I'm like, oh, cool. Like, I just elevated that. But even just being around other artists, like, you get exposed to different art styles, almost as like different ways of creating art, because there's people that like to work with the outlines and then they work their way into filling in all the color, and there's people that do it the other way around, which I can't do. Like I think I've seen a couple of artworks where it's like black and white but it's inverted. I can't do that. I haven't been able to do a piece that I feel actually happy about. And I'm like, one day I'll figure that out. But
have you started watching some muralist like YouTube videos, like those time-lapse videos?
I have, yeah.
I
followed
love watching some of those, right? Even Don Rymax, we were just talking about him when he was in town. I think Cam McLeod and some other videographers put together some great time-lapse videos. I hope that artists are using some of these videos that, they're just fun to watch, but as an artist, I learned so much about watching these videos. And YouTube videos were not always around. I mean, I can show you that some of us in this trailer right now, that there was no YouTube to go to if you needed to look up a product review or anything like that, right? You just totally figured it out as you went. And so
I want to know if Tara watches YouTube running videos, because
I do.
Do you?
I do, totally.
Who do you watch?
Well, even just location based, like different races. You look up.
Do you get beta on some stuff?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
1,000,000%. Just today, just looking up different races of people shot their own videos, which could be real, generic, just on their phones, and they throw them on YouTube or anything else, or even just more professionally done, like directly by the races, or different coaching styles or techniques, or it's just kind of fun to read race reports of different places to kind of get more opinions too.
Yeah.
So there's so much out there, like on anything.
The point is, you got to do a little bit of research on your own.
You do, yeah.
And now that there's more and more resources, is what I was getting at too. There's just so much more. YouTube is such a great place that at this point you can you can search virtually anything. And
That's true.
there's more to it than the 9-year-old that are unwrapping toys and making 14 million a year.
What?
Not that there's anything
What?
wrong with that lifestyle. But you could get very specific about techniques for stenciling, outdoor surfaces, that type of
And
thing.
we were talking about social media earlier. When I saw that Don Rymix was coming in and doing the murals, I actually sent him a message on Instagram.
Oh, I'm so glad.
Yeah, I was like, hey, I saw you're gonna be in town. If there's anything you need, just let me know. And he's like, we start at 10.
That's a great answer.
I was like, what?
And did you go?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I was like, I hit him up.
No
So,
way. He's
yeah,
like,
so,
we started 10.
Yeah.
See you there.
yeah, so I showed up and I was like, all right, I'll be here. And I stayed there for a second. He didn't have a generator.
Yeah, I remember that.
So, so I sat around and I was like, here. So I called my father-in-law, brings out the generator. And then that's how he started.
Now you have a friend. For
Yeah.
life. You bring a generator. It's
And I hope you know that Don tells that story of what you guys did
yeah.
to this
my
day.
God.
Like the last time that we chatted, we had a nice long podcast right before they left town. He told that story. I read in another place he told that story. Like those little things mean so
That
much.
you can show up in a town and someone will help you, and that was because you reached out.
Yeah, like it was all through social media because I followed him before and I was like, he's going to be here. That's actually really cool. It's like seeing one of my, like, essentially kind of like idols because I was like, this is something that I want to do. This is somebody that I look up to.
And I appreciate that you had that experience. I think that as a Ogden-based sort of organization that we are, there's a lot of Ogden pride in supporting Ogden artists, right? But I also know how important it is to sometimes to see what other artists at different levels, right? To see them working firsthand. And
Well,
so
I'm a little more blunt. So the city, Ogden, we get pushback on if we don't hire locals to do all the local stuff. This is the reason.
On everything.
On everything. But this is the reason. And that's the argument is, yeah, but sometimes you got to bring in the pros from out of state so that we can at least learn from them. We can at least see what they're doing and like, okay, ask the questions, get to know them, and then learn how to take that next step because they're good.
And it's also, I see it almost as like an exchange situation as well. Wouldn't you love to work in Miami?
Oh, I would.
Or, any of these other places that he might be coming from Miami or from Puerto Rico or something? I would love our artists to also go work in
100%.
Florida or work
Yeah.
in these other locations, right? Because we have amazing walls in Ogden, but there's some good walls around the country. There's no question, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm so glad that you were able to reach out and, you had a positive experience. And obviously the results are, I love those murals.
Yeah, those murals are cool. And I honestly did learn a lot because I sat there through like 3 a.m. because I didn't actually know what I was getting myself into. But now I was like, well, my father-in-law's generator is here. I can't leave.
And the scale of that project in such a short amount of time, it was pretty staggering to see that. It was very quick
They're
work.
fast. Yeah, they're.
You probably learned a little something about work ethic on that.
Oh, absolutely.
So what do you think between mural 1 and finishing your whatever it was, 5th or 6th mural? So what's the biggest thing you learned from over the course of the year?
Learning to say no, for one. Like being able to actually be like, nah, I don't want to do that. Because on the very last mural, they asked me to fill in the holes in the cement. So it was 40 feet by 12 feet, 2 walls, and then the ceiling. So it was like a big tunnel.
It's a big tunnel, yeah.
Yeah, and they asked me if I could fill in the holes in there, and I was like, yeah, I'll do that. I don't think I want to do that ever again. That was a lot of work.
You're like, I want my wall prepped before
Yeah,
this, right?
yeah, that was a lot. So that took me a lot longer than I had anticipated because I've never done that before.
Yeah.
But I figured I'll just throw on a YouTube video, learn, and and then I'll be able to do it. And it worked out. It worked out. But that's definitely one of the biggest things. It's just like learning to say no, set my boundaries, and actually stick to them. Have been probably one of the biggest lessons from there.
You got a show coming up, and we're gonna chat with that. Let's talk Rufa real quick. How did you get involved with? What is it? Running Up for Air. What is it? How did it start, and how did you get involved?
Rufa, Running Up for Air. It started 10 years ago in Salt Lake, where the founder, Jared Campbell, was, and maybe you've heard of Jared Campbell,
Yep.
the legend. He has won Barkley Marathon a couple times. look it up on YouTube.
Yeah, you got to look up
an
Barkley
amazing-
Marathon because that's a whole nother race.
Yeah, take an afternoon, watch the movies. It's great. So he was training for this race, and one of the only places to do that in the winter in Salt Lake is up Grandeur Peak in Mill Creek area, and with the inverted air being so bad, getting up for air, running up above the air was really the only safe place to be, just to avoid just the gunk and how that gets into your lungs.
Which, if you're not from Utah or not from Salt Lake, Ogden, Provo Valley area, it about this time of year, January, February, it tends to just sit in the valley, and it's this weird gunk thing that just sits there. And so you can get above it, but you got to go high.
You got to run up for air.
You got to run up for air.
Run up for air. And so it turned into where he was training a lot, and his buddies would place bets on how many laps he could do, and then it turned out to be something where he could donate the money from these bets, and they'd have like an aid station in a trunk just in the parking lot, and like in a car, and it got bigger and bigger. Buddies would come and want to run with him, and it just emerged. And like I said, this is the 10th year it's been going on. It got big enough to where it was an actual race. Probably 6-7 years ago, I participated in it, and it was great. Loved it. It's beautiful down there. The situation was, the second year I went down to run it was, gosh, this is great. There's a lot of people from Ogden Davis down here, and we're running it for air, and we're all driving down here. Gosh, wouldn't that be awesome if we could do this in Ogden?
Yeah.
We have a similar mountain, a similar mountain, about the same distance and vert as what we're on here in Grandeur. But we have this amazing community. You guys just talked about community and with the arts. And we'll just back to the adventure side. We have such an amazing group of just people who are outside all the time. And they don't maybe consider themselves athletes, but they're out on Malins every day.
Yeah.
They're going up and down. They could be like grandpas, these two grandpas I see out there every day. There's so many people that love being outside. And I was with another friend of mine and I who brought that to Ogden. And the biggest thing was, well, how are we going to find how to connect with Jared Campbell? Like, who's got his number?
Yeah,
Like, how are we going to do that? And it's the same, just like what you're saying, it's just the power of networking, and through social media, we're able to contact him. And of course, he's about the nicest guy and as gracious as he can be. And so there was already one similar, running it for air starting in the Denver area. And so that year we brought it to Ogden in 2018 for the first year. And so this is our 4th year here in Ogden. We've got the COVID years.
So you didn't do it during COVID?
Didn't do it during COVID. That was a little break. So we're back. We average around 80 people. Love to have more. We have the capacity because of permitting to have more. But it's just going well. But
you do Malins.
We started at the 29th Street Trailhead.
Okay.
Right there off of Buchanan.
You have to come all the way down and touch the road? How does it work?
Now you just high five.
High five.
Right there.
Yeah.
No, so you start there at the trailhead at the giant awning, and you go up. We call it the traditional route, up to Malins, up above the pond, through the tunnel, hang a right, up the hill, tag the tent at the top or the peak, and come back down. And it's about 6 miles round trip, about 2,300 feet. And what happens is, more importantly, backing up from the race structure, it's a charity event.
Yeah.
So I'm the race director here in Ogden, but it's volunteer. Nothing in it for me. It's just pure satisfaction of helping out and just being involved with the community. Like that's really all it is. And we have Breathe Utah here in Utah, and Utah Clean Energy are our charities, and they donate their efforts to creating legislation and education in the schools, providing information on how to better our air quality.
Yeah.
And they do a lot of work. I don't have all that bulleted to share with you here at this point, but on their websites and their social media, it's a great resource to check out the things that they're doing. It's really good. And through the years, we've had some years where we've donated over $100K to the various charities. So it's a big event. And we're not just here in Ogden or Salt Lake. We're in Provo, formerly known as Squaw Peak. It's now called Kive Peak.
Kive.
Rhymes with chive. That's
Okay.
Remember, we're working on names.
Yeah.
But it's spelled Kve Can't remember.
Kive.
Kive. I'd have to look at my.
Is there a
text sheet.
Y in there? Or is
Yeah.
that like
I think
IE?
it's actually, you're right. KY something something. 4 letters.
Okay.
Rhymes with Kive.
Kive.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's great. We've updated that. And there's Staunton Rocks outside of Denver. There's Missoula. They run up to the Mount Sentinel. They're in town. And our Seattle friends are joining us this year with Tiger Mountain in Seattle area.
Awesome. This is going to be nationwide soon.
Yeah, international, actually. We have an event in Chamonix
Sweet.
where they run up the vertical K, and the Patagonia Europe group takes care of a lot of that. But this running it for air in Europe, they had, I think, besides the event there in Chamonix, they had a virtual event, and over 178,000 people participated in the Europe event.
178,000?
1,000. So we're there's some fun things in the work. Maybe
Yeah.
not noticeable in 2023, but in 2024, it's going to be really, really exciting to be a part of this. So
Yeah.
we're rolling forward.
You
So,
run hundreds, and you run hundreds in different places in the West and the world. How is Ogden for a training place?
I love that you mentioned that. Gosh, and I could get emotional talking about this. You can run and train in Ogden and run anywhere in the world. And that's just kind of a humbling thing, really. We're just surrounded by so many opportunities of places to
Like
climb up or go
like
around
training here
or-
gets you in shape to run anywhere in the world, because
Yeah.
it doesn't seem super hardcore here, but it's hardcore enough that you can train and go anywhere.
Yeah, we have the technicality here in the northern Wasatch to run anywhere around the world. And I haven't run everywhere around the world at all, and I'm not at all planning on that. But from the things that I've done, whether it's running in the San Juans, in Colorado, various places in that, comparing that to what we have in various sections around where we live, it's possible. And I'm thinking of all of the other people who I know who do that too. And it's really exciting to think that Ogden has that gateway to allow people to do that. It's not necessarily you have to live in Colorado to run these races all around the world, or in Salt Lake even.
Yeah.
Like we have
Yeah,
so
good
much
point.
here
Yeah.
that I think a lot of us like to keep secret, but also want it to be known, right? I mean, it's true. So we want to keep it secret, but we want to tell everybody because it's so exciting. It's such a great place here. If I can go back to even like during this Christmas break or this like 2-week break, when people have been off work or out of school, and we've had a lot of snow, it's made trail running tricky. But Malin's Peak, which is so accessible just from town, we're all right here, like a mile or mile and a half away. I think it was yesterday Monday? Yeah, yesterday was Monday. And but a long week.
The holiday threw everything off. Yeah.
So a friend of mine and I were out there, and so she and I just ran into each other in the parking lot. It wasn't planned. We both pulled in at a random time of day. It wasn't like starting at an hour. And we ran up to Malin's. Not kidding, there must have been between 40 or 70 different people, but
Wow.
it didn't feel crowded.
Yeah.
It was enough. Some had dogs, some didn't. Some had stories. We ran into this one guy who told us a story about how Butch Cassidy used to like hide weapons up in the basin. Like we stopped.
What?
Not kidding. I don't know if it was true, but he was surrounded by all of his like family. They're out on a family hike, and it was, we had that conversation. And
Well,
then,
there is a story.
If you run into them again, see if you can get their contact information.
Yeah, we need to know who that is.
I would like to get them into the show. Yeah.
So I mean, this is what we've got here,
Yeah.
and at first you're kind of like, oh, I'm on a run, you're kind of like, but then you're like, look at what we have. Like we have people out here who are just loving it so much. They're stopping on the edge of this cliff,
Yeah.
telling you stories about Butch Cassidy running up and down Malin's with weapons, and I'm like, what?
Well, listen, we think we're like awesome because we explore our hills here. They've been doing this forever, kids. Just so you know. So Beyond the Rails, I think is that the podcast that our friend does. But he did one about the ski jump that was up there. So Pineview, it was right there as you cross the Pineview. It was a world-class ski jump, and they set world records on it. Well, it got destroyed or ruined or something. This is in a podcast of his. And the next spot he was going to put it was up Taylor Canyon, which is I'm like, you look at that now, I'm all, what the hell was he thinking? Because it hardly ever snows in there. But that was going to be the next place for his ski jump on this side of the mountain. And then he died. He was driving I-15 northbound on a motorcycle to see his girlfriend in Brigham City, and he got hit by a car and died. And he was from Europe, and he was pushing ski sports and ski winter events, massive events here in Ogden. People would come from all over to see that ski hill jump up there, and right there as you go into the Ogden Canyon. And Ogden's had this stuff for a long time.
Wow.
Like people that explored our hills for a long time. It's super interesting. Beyond the Rails. That's a pretty good podcast by our friend, but check that one out. And it's cool. The people you meet on our local trails, you never know.
It's nuts. We're all out here trying to, fight the inversion or fight the gunk.
Yeah, the gunk.
And so it's just been it's been cool to be able to help put this on, because I might orchestrate it, but when it comes down to race day, and any of the folks who help me out can attest to this, we all hold each other's hands and make this work. Like it's so much fun. And we had almost the same amount of people volunteer that participated last year. It was like a concierge volunteer for each runner, even though it really wasn't. But we had that many people who want to come out and help, as we do who help in their way of running the race. And it's just a fun time. It's just so much fun.
You have your own website, Malin's.
Yep. Malin's.
upforairseries.org.
Yes,
okay.
Correct.
Where you can just go to upforair.com and then click under the race information and then click on Malin's.
I think it's .org.
.org. Yeah, you're
yes.
right. Yes.
So upforairseries.org.
24th and 25th. So it runs 2 days?
It's a 24-hour race.
Mm-hmm.
So people choose a 3, 6, 12, or a 24-hour time slot. And then according to their time slot, they go up and down the mountain as many times as they want to.
Todd, you in?
Let's do it.
Next year.
The next.
Yeah. Next one.
And some people only will go one lap. Like, we all love our buddy.
Because you pay the same, and then you just...
Yeah. No, the pay is not the same.
Oh, it's not the same.
Like, here's an example. We all love our buddy Eric Manning.
Yeah.
So he did the 12-hour last year.
Yeah.
He did one lap.
Yeah.
But that was his donation, running. But he finished,
awesome.
and he was like, I won. I'm the first one finished.
Beautiful.
I won.
Wonderful.
I won the race. And anyway, it's just it's a great time. So
and a personal best for him. So that's great.
yes, it's always a personal best. Right?
I think when he was on the show not long ago, he did not like I teased him so much. But you can tease the pros.
You can for sure. It's February 24th and 25th, which means plenty of time to train.
Plenty of time to train. Plenty of time
At
to
least
raise
one
money.
lap. Yeah.
Raise the roof out.
Yeah.
And, I think it's incredible to think of the people who have run this and done so many laps. Like our records.
What's the record?
Yeah. So in 2019, Ian Ferris, he's down in the Utah County area. He came up to run this, and he was literally running because he did, I wrote this down, 15 laps. 15. That's 5 laps.
So to give you an idea, I like to hike, okay? I like to get outside every once in a while. And if I go to hike Malin's, I don't go to I'm old enough now that going to the top like in the spring is not a good idea because I won't walk for a week after that. So I'll go about halfway, come back, and then in a few days or the next Saturday, I'll do the full thing. And I'm like, I feel pretty good. Now I made it to the top of one lap, made it to the top of Malin's, let alone run the damn thing, let alone 15 freaking times. That's insane. 15
times 6. So how many miles is that? Quick math, not my thing.
Oh, that's a lot.
So that's that many
lot.
miles.
Yep.
I'll do it on the couch.
So do that.
He just
like
wants
90.
to confirm. That's all.
Yeah.
6 times 15.
Okay.
So that's how many miles that was. And then if you do 2,300 feet times 15.
So 90.
The vertical.
Wait, it's what? Wait, how
90
many
miles, and then 2,300 times 15 is that much vert.
Wait, it's not. Is it 3 miles?
It's 6 round trip.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah.
But there's also other incredible feats, if I can say quickly. Like we had some huge records broken last year at the race. The 6-hour race, Ryan Montgomery from the Wanship area, he came down and ran 5 laps in 6 hours. So just put that, like throw that.
Yeah, that's nuts.
And then he finished that. He broke Mike Ambrose's former record by 4 minutes. So he finished those 5 laps in 5 hours, 51 minutes. And he came flying in because that was, I think he was trying to get that record.
Yeah.
By 4 minutes, it was just crazy. It was such insanity. It was so exciting.
How fast do you run Malins?
Me personally?
Yeah, like just
see, that's the
normal
thing.
trail runner person.
So I have a goal that if I can come up and down in an hour and a half, that's just fine. And that's
One lap.
that's like social. That's like if I run into somebody who wants to tell me a cowboy story.
Now, do you run up it or do you speed hike up it? Or?
I run sections of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So no, long gone are those days that I care to do that.
Does Bryce run up
down
it?
He probably does.
Okay.
I bet he does.
Okay. Just curious.
I don't have any evidence because
when I see people running up it, I'm like, I step aside so fast in awe,
Same.
it blows my mind.
Yep, just let him go.
Yeah.
I know.
Okay.
So anyway, lots of fun records broken, and it's just pretty impressive.
Raise some money for charity. Jump in on Run Up for Air. It's February 24th and 25th.
And I love that it's all levels of ability. I think that's
All
wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you got to be able to walk.
Maybe not when you're done.
There's a climbing up for air, but that's another story.
There's
Yeah.
the Kufa that's down
Yeah.
at the front.
Yeah,
So.
it just sounds dirty, but yeah. That's all. Leanne, you got a show coming up.
I do. That's a
On that
weird
note.
segue. Hold on.
That's how we get around it. We just segue to, I'll butcher this, a capítulo dos. What is this?
Capítulo dos. Yeah. So that's that means chapter 2.
Yes.
Ultimately, it's my second solo art show.
Okay.
So
And it's during First Friday, which is a big day here in Ogden. We got van sessions, and so unfortunately we can't make it. But where is it, and what's the show?
So it's over at the Bonneville. It's an office space on 25th Street. It's right in between Stella's and Lucky Slice, right in there. And it's all my artwork, but I did collaborate it with a couple of musicians and bands around here. So I grabbed the song from them, and then I created some visuals for the.
You did a great video introducing it too.
It's
Did I hear a laugh from outside?
Yeah,
I think so.
I think so, yeah.
That's actually a funny story because I wasn't planning on doing that, but
And the one-liner was fantastic.
I just had like some extra time.
Whoa. Is this it? This is breaking news. Breaking news.
Oh my gosh, that punched me in the face.
Oh man!
Ogden News, where we're bringing the news about Ogden. For a tough story tonight, a man ends up in the hospital after swallowing $150,000. Turns out there will be no change expected. For our next story, we're going to
No change expected.
You love hearing yourself right now, don't you?
Oh, okay, that's enough. That's enough for you.
Yeah. That So that's from Colin Mockery. The
Oh God, I love Colin.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I grabbed that from, and I'm a big fan of whose line is
improv?
it? Anyway, yeah,
Yeah.
I like improv. I've done actually comedy.
Okay.
I can say I'm a paid comedian.
Okay, what have you not done? Because your day
Run
job,
trails.
Run up for air. Yeah.
day
Change
job
that.
is like best barista in town. So.
Yeah, that is a fun part.
All right.
Yeah. So Friday, January 6th, at the Bonneville. Actually, it's pretty cool because I have a company that sponsored. They're like stickers that I'm gonna be putting on the frames, and it's it uses NFC technology.
Yeah.
So like what you use to like for like pay with your phone, like Apple Pay and stuff like that. You just tap the sticker, and that's just gonna direct you to the website. So each of the artworks is gonna be sold with the frame itself. That way they'll have that
With the
whole
NFT technology.
NFC.
Okay.
Yeah.
C.
I don't know what it stands for, so don't even ask me.
C.
We got to come up with some words for that. Not for I don't know.
Compliance.
Yeah.
For compliance.
Consumption, not for consumption.
So how long is the show going to be up?
Not for consumption. I
Not
think
for
that Nano.
One night.
I don't know.
How long is your show going to be up?
It's gonna be there for the whole month. But I'll be there, and the reception is going to be from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m.
And what'd you say is the music component? You have any live musicians?
Yeah, so
or-
there's going to be live music. It is from a local musician called, he goes by Fawson. So you
Oh, we
Fawson.
know
Fawson.
Fawson. Yeah,
Yeah,
have
we had
Fawson
him on
Van
Van
Sessions.
Sessions. not
Oh,
long ago.
perfect. Yeah, he's
great.
he's gonna be playing music, and we're just gonna be vibing. There's
Is,
gonna be,
is he going to be making up on the fly, or is he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
because I think he's really good at that. I think he's really good at picking up vibes and feeling the energy in the room and just matching it. I think he does a really good job of that. So.
I was impressed. He was very cool.
Yeah, so it's gonna be a fun time.
Snacks?
Yes,
Okay, see, that's all we
absolutely.
need to
There's
know
gonna
about,
be so there's
when
a
you
big
talk about an
tradition.
opening, music is a nice plus.
Yeah,
Snacks are a good plus.
Food and
Sometimes
bev.
you don't have a
Yeah.
chance to grab some food,
yeah.
so you count on that. And then if it wasn't in Utah, then you'd have a glass of wine or something. But alas, you will have probably some
I will have coffee,
La Croix
hot
or something.
chocolate.
You'll have coffee and hot chocolate.
chocolate.
That makes sense, of course. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it'll be vegan hot chocolate, so even better. I don't know about that, but
No, that's good to know.
yeah.
great.
And there's a tradition in my culture where on the 6th, which is the day where the 3 magic kings come in and brought the gifts for Jesus. Is
that new? What's that called?
the 3 magic kings? Oh, Dia de Reyes. That's what I know it as.
Is it New Christmas or what is it called?
Yeah, you just said.
Yeah, Three Magic. Yeah,
Yeah, but essentially, it's a bread that you cut up and if you find a little doll inside, then
Yeah.
that means that you have to make tamales. I'm not having any dolls or anything. I'm just having the bread.
this is the greatest holiday ever. You give bread away, and if there's a doll, you have to make tamales.
So whoever gets the little doll, which is like the little baby Jesus, they
Yeah.
have to make tamales.
I'm down.
Why is
Especially
this
if I
not
can.
the biggest holiday ever?
I just want the step after where I can get the tamales.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but there will be no little doll inside the bread.
no
I'm just-
tamales.
yeah, and hopefully tamales
Okay,
eventually.
Okay.
I'll just have whoever. I'll just tell somebody. You got it. It's in there.
Yep. Oh, I
But,
love it.
no.
That's going to be so much fun.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot
Well,
of fun.
forget Van Hitches. I'm going to ditch you for a few minutes. I'm going to
Appreciate-
head down there.
Appreciate that.
I'm going to see if I could find the little baby Jesus, and then I could probably learn to make tamales over YouTube. See, it's all full circle.
See, full circle. Look at that.
Over YouTube, I could probably do that. too.
Also, because I don't know how late you're going, but Hectic Hobo and the Proper Way is at the Lighthouse Friday night at about 9ish.
Oh, for
So
God's sake.
unreal night in Ogden.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's going to be like the fastest teardown Van Sessions ever.
Yeah.
We are going to close up. We're heading down to the Lighthouse. That's 2 great bands.
No, it's a great night. So good luck on your show. I hope you have a good show
Thank
on,
you.
on Friday at the Bonneville.
Just looking to celebrate with everybody. That's mainly.
Yeah. How can we follow you on the socials?
I'm under Noise Explosion on Facebook, Instagram, and I think I want to say YouTube too, but I'm not sure.
Okay. Very
I
good.
made a YouTube a long time ago, but
The next time you do, if you haven't already, a mural, set up a camera, do a little time
a little
lapse.
time lapse.
I'm telling you, I love watching those, and I don't think I'm alone. And it's inspiring for other artists that have not done it before. So
Todd, did you have arts news or should we skip that? Cause
we might. We've been going kind of
yeah.
long. I think that I did want to just point out, I'm a movie person, right? But over the last year or so, I'm way behind. I mean, I'm way behind on movies. But I did see that the Utah Film Critics Association kind of chose their favorites. And to kind of keep it close to home, I thought I'd mention just a few of their picks. Now, most of these are movies that I just haven't gotten to yet, but I certainly want to. They chose a movie called Everything Everywhere All at Once. You're familiar? Most people are. You are just starting to get into movies just within the last few years.
Do you watch them? How do you,
Yeah, exactly. But this is a movie that's phenomenal from what I understand. I just need to find time to do it. But the runner-up, surprisingly, not surprisingly, was that Top Gun sequel, Maverick. Critics loved it. The audience loved that.
watch that again the other night? I
Have
cried
you
a
saw it
little.
again?
I've seen it. We have the DVD if you want to come over.
Okay. Yeah, I saw it once in theaters. And I haven't seen it since. I need
We
to
have the
see it
DVD.
again.
We bought it. Yeah.
What's another one? There's another one for, let's see, best lead performance male was Colin Farrell in a movie called The Banshees of Inisherin. I bring that up because that's on one of the streaming channels. I think it's on Netflix right now, so maybe check that one out. These will all be probably, nominated for Oscars if you follow any of the award shows. There's one other I was going to point out. Oh, the animated. I did get around to seeing Guillermo del Toro's stop motion, which is another show in a previous lifetime. April and I, my friend and I, worked at a stop motion animation studio, right? The best job I've ever had in my life. But Guillermo del Toro's, he did a stop motion Pinocchio, and it's amazing. And I can't
Where can you watch it?
It's amazing. This is on
It's on
one of the
Netflix.
streaming ones.
It's
Is it
on
Netflix?
Netflix.
It's on
Yeah.
Netflix.
Okay.
And you can't not enjoy it. Like it's phenomenally done. And if for some reason you're able to blow off just the technical, just like amazingness, there's a making of it that's also on Netflix, and you have to watch that as well, right? And then you'll kind of get into that. But anyway, the Utah film critics didn't choose that as their favorite. They chose it as the runner-up, and they chose it's sort of what's that documentary, like a faux documentary? It's kind of like a fake documentary. Anyway, it's called Marcel the Shell with Shoes On.
Oh, mm-hmm.
And which again, I haven't seen this yet, but I really want to. It was a short that I think it was a Sundance short, if I remember right, and then they made it into a feature-length development. So I definitely want to see that too. So anyway, if you haven't had a chance to see Pinocchio, watch Pinocchio.
That's helpful. That's good info.
It's amazing, and it's like old school Pinocchio too,
Yeah.
right? It's Pinocchio with fascism and Mussolini. I mean, it's good Pinocchio. It's a great Pinocchio story.
Hey,
My
no Pinocchio
11-year-old
without fascism and Mussolini.
Yeah.
My 11-year-old said that to me. He's like, Mom, have you ever seen Pinocchio? Would you like to watch Pinocchio? I'm like, would I ever? Like, it's a brand new movie to him.
Yeah.
He's like, would you like to watch Pinocchio? I'm like, oh, yeah. But no, that's it. Good call on that.
And it's still a family film. It's a family
Yeah,
film,
yeah,
but it's
yeah.
it's definitely a little more traditional roots if you see this one. But
that's great.
just the work involved, and it was like he used 3 different studios, including one in, I want to say in Mexico, where Guillermo's from. And so like the Pinocchio and one of the other leads that's the cricket in it were done essentially in Mexico. So it was important to him to have like a majority of the crew was from Mexico. I thought that was awesome too. And so, yeah, what amazing movie. Anyway, I could talk more about those things. So,
So adventure news. I'll just give you the headlines. You go look up the stories. That's how this goes. Snow Basin's adding new high-speed lift, 6-seat lift. It will help with the Des Moines Express. It'll help with the congestion on Strawberry, which is fantastic news. This is the good news. Bad news. Pro rally driver Ken Block died in a snowmobile accident in Utah. Super famous pro rally driver. Also, I read he was part of the DC, like founder of DC Shoes. So I had tie-ins to Powder Mountain. That's a shame. That's very terrible. Also, a tree fell on a chairlift at Park City and killed an employee on the chairlift. That's god awful. So
Horrifying.
there's that.
yeah, that's horrible news. I just read about that too.
Locally, Becker Brewing descendants are suing Ogden River Brewery for using their name and brand, and they shouldn't have been, and that's a mess. You can find that story on KSL. That's not good. Good news is we're at like 167% on water over last year. As far as snowpack goes,
I don't think it's going to
Like
stop
the
snowing. It's
whole-
one of those where it's just,
it's just
you just have a sense that it's just going to keep snowing. Like it's the whole
January
month.
2nd, 3rd. Like it's, oh my gosh. Okay. So yeah, like we're doing great as far as water goes, and we need that. And then finally, in the best news of the day, and I'm sure that I think they have this for rescue dogs in Utah, but 10 Cup Whiskey has released the 2023 Avalanche Rescue Dog Calendar. So you get a puppy a day. It's one of the yes.
That was for the dog fans.
Avalanche Rescue Dogs. I was like, we have that sound effect. I didn't know that.
Our dog audience it's pretty good. I'm just saying, yeah.
Do you remember in Scrooge when he gets
Cats.
cats
He's talking
and
about
they're
cats,
talking
yeah.
about what are we going to do for our animal audience? Yeah. Okay. Anyway.
Millions of cats are watching television.
Millions. 10 Cup Whiskey has the calendar out, so you can go check that out if you want to have that. So thanks so much, you guys, for joining us. Tara, Leon, I'm going to practice your last name for life, and eventually I'm going to get it.
Well, I appreciate your time. And thank you for having me.
We'll leave you with some van sessions. I'm editing the. Todd missed this one. It was Future Ex-Boyfriend. It was and Tycoon Machete. Tycoon Machete crushed it on YouTube, by the way. If you go back and watch some of that, but I'm surprised at how much I like these bands during after I'm listening to them on the recording. I'm listening to them back because there's the live, and I hear it. I'm like, okay, it's all right. It's pretty good. It wasn't bad. And then I listen to the recording. I'm like, Oh, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. And it happens often. So
I saw future ex-boyfriends did a giant New Year's show down in Salt Lake just the other night.
yeah, they're good, man. They're
I'm
good. So
saying
this
keep
is
an eye
a
out for
track
these
by
guys.
them that we recorded via Van Sessions. Let's see, what track did I choose for us lovelies to listen to?
I think I saw them once on Kamikaze for Halloween, and they were dressed as like the Powerpuff Girls.
Oh, that's wonderful.
It was amazing. yeah,
Costumes are underrated.
This is called Golden Light, and I think this comes out tomorrow on Van Sessions. You can follow that on our YouTube. And that's it for this episode. This is Future Ex-Boyfriend.
How was the wedding? You guys at the wedding? The wedding was good? That was good. It looked nice.
How was the wedding? It was so good. Future Ex-Boyfriend on Van Sessions.